financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is buried by credit card debt, tax debt, and medical bills. Don't live like Uncle Sam. We'll have to figure out how that all comes together. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning. I'm a little confused because I don't have an Uncle Sam. I mean, I have an Uncle Sam, but tall
that's great.
hat.
We're going to skip
beard.
Brian Small. Let's go on to Jeffrey Linden. Good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
We'll come back to you, Brian. Scott Weinberg, how are you?
It's a little early. this
I
morning,
am
Ken.
doing well, but I am an uncle too. But I'm not Uncle Sam.
Pat Simasco, Jeffrey Kirshner aren't with us today. Send regards. They're both sunning themselves in Florida at the moment, I believe. Going back to Brian, you always talk about your Uncle Sam when you talk about taxes and everything else. So for you to say you don't have an Uncle Sam is disingenuous.
Well, it may be.
I don't like that word.
It may be.
That's a different story, though.
It may be disingenuous, but at the moment, I don't have an Uncle Samuel. I do have an Uncle Sam.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's what I'm going to throw
The title
out.
was buried by credit card debt. Now, where beauty
This
is in the eye of the
subtitle.
beholder.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I want to give you. We're going to talk about the beholder is the consumer. The object is the economy. So how are the things in the economy right now? I just did a little Googling, trying to go through a couple articles. Wall Street
Peachy.
Journal.
They're peachy.
The economy.
The economy is peachy. Just
It
listen
is
to the
not.
president.
Is there something in that coffee that is impermissible in
I don't know.
the norm?
Scott poured it, not
I mean,
me.
we were talking
Hold on, let me give you my card.
before the
We might
show.
have
We
to-
were talking about what some of the distinguished members of the judiciary did back in the 60s and 70s. Does that have anything to do with what's in your coffee cup?
God, I hope not.
Maybe
Okay.
we need to go back to the last show on OUID.
Deficits hit 7-year high. Wall Street Journal, October 25th. Federal spending climbed 8%, while revenue increased only 4% in the year ending September. U.S. spent nearly $1 trillion more in 2019 than it took in. This is the highest deficit in 7 years that would have been bigger without a rebound in corporate tax revenue. So it's biggest anyway, even though we had increased corporate tax revenue.
That's the scariest part of this article.
I mean,
That
it goes
one
on.
statement.
I'm going to throw it on the screen, but the whole point here is our government is doing what we know we shouldn't do. You shouldn't spend more than you bring in. If you do that, you keep going into debt. And we talk about not doing that. The American, and my point is the American consumer who is taking on credit card debt and consumer debt is living like his Uncle Sam.
Except for one difference. The American consumer can't print money. Uncle Sam can.
Cannot legally print money.
Well, we'll leave that to Scott to discuss later.
Yeah, but you know,
We'll go back to may
our,
not
our
print money.
government, though, is the highest in federal spending right now, too. And they have to invest into certain things. You know, you can borrow money and invest into roads, invest into infrastructure,
We need to do
invest into things that make a difference, not just spending it where, quite frankly, we don't get a benefit from it. And that's one of the problems I have, is not so much borrowing the money, is where are they spending the money?
Well, and then, I mean, I don't want to get into the political side of it, but you get into the issue of defense spending, you get into the issue of entitlements, you get into the issue of Medicare, which is not an entitlement because Medicare is, you turn 65, everyone's eligible for Medicare. That economic burden is growing as we go. But the deficits that I think that we're seeing now are, we had a tax cut, and we've had a tax cut, but our spending has continued, so the deficit is growing. whether it's good or bad or how it's being allocated, the point that I want to concentrate on is the next one is U.S. consumer debt surges are on the jump in credit card balances. This is from Bloomberg. Borrowing swelled in July by the most since 2017. Total credit card debt rose by $23.3 billion from the prior month. That would have been August. Revolving debt increased by $10 billion, also the most since November of 2017. So our consumers are doing the same thing. And it goes right back to what Brian did, because he couldn't resist making the point that the government can print money whereas the consumer couldn't, which is intended to be stated now rather than 4 minutes ago, like you did, but that's Brian. Doesn't matter. The point is, I'm just kidding you. The point is, it's going to create a problem. And it's a problem for the consumer because the consumer doesn't have the leeway that the government does have. The government can do all sorts of things. It can pump money into the economy, doing its with the Fed. It can drop interest rates if there's any margin left to drop it. It can stimulate the economy. It can deal with the issues, and it can print money. It's not going to be shut down. The consumer will be shut down. What will happen to the consumer who has no cash in the bank and he has $30,000 of available credit, but he's got $50,000 of credit outstanding, all of a sudden he'll get a letter from his credit card companies that say, Jeff, Brian, Scott, Fred, we love you. You've never missed a payment, but we're trimming your available credit to $4 more than you currently owe us.
Not Brian.
And then what's going to happen? Well, other Brians other than you. Okay, that's the problem. So, that's the backdrop. I want to do a couple case studies. Sean and Amy is case study number 1.
Those are familiar names.
They're happily married. Sean is my son-in-law. Amy is your wife. That's where the names came from. They're happily married, except for money problems.
To each other?
2
I don't know,
children,
maybe we should have a different conversation.
Billy and Sarah. Yeah, that would be a whole other different.
I was going to say it.
Sean is self-employed, owns a landscaping business. Amy's a registered nurse. She makes $65,000 a year. Sean makes $60,000 a year in his business. They've got a home. It's worth $225,000. They have a first mortgage of $200,000, second mortgage $25,000, so no equity. We're going to take a break. We're going to go through their assets, their liabilities, and then we're going to see how they solve their problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, back to Sean and Amy. So their house, it's worth the same amount as their first and second mortgage. Amy has an IRA for $75,000. They got $2,000 of cash in the bank. Typical, normal American couple. Liabilities, $100,000 in credit card debt. So they've got a lot of credit card debt.
That's a lot.
Medical bills, $20,000. They've had some medical issues, and with the current state of the law and him being self-employed, they've got high deductibles and so forth on their medical insurance. They have tax liability. Joint from 2015, $10,000. Sean has a $20,000 liability in 16 and $20,000 liability in 17. Sean knew, he's self-employed, that he's having problems, so they made the tactical decision to file married filing separate in 16 and 17. Now, Brian, just question. Is $100,000 of credit card debt unusual, highly unusual? How frequently do you see that?
Okay, so it's slightly unusual, but it's rather common at the same time. I will tell you that it's not often I see people walking with $100,000 worth of credit card debt, but I see plenty of people at $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 every day. That $100,000 mark seems to be a number where people will recognize.
But we probably see that 6, 7, 10 times a year.
Oh no, maybe 6, 7 times every 2 months.
Is it related though to how
much?
much money you've been making, to how much credit card debt you're
you know
able
the
to
funny thing is,
surprisingly, no.
It's exactly
it's
opposite.
related to the lifestyle that you think you should be living.
Yeah.
The lifestyle I want to become accustomed to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or it's related to the fact that you were blind to the fact that your business has been failing, and so you've been doing everything. If I just could get another $10,000,
Right.
I can make this business work. And the reality is that sometimes for that situation, when you're sitting there going, God, I just need to find another 10 grand, that's the time you should have called me 6 months earlier, but you need to come in
It's
the
very
scene
easy.
right
All of a
away.
sudden you get a new credit card and you're happy and you're relaxed. One thing that does factor into there, but it never really becomes a problem from the standpoint of the misrepresentation. When you apply for a card, they ask for household income, but they don't verify. So people that end up amassing a lot of credit card debt, particularly if they're self-employed, they never know what their income is, so they say it's $20,000 a month. When really, after their expenses and so forth, they're only making $8,000 a month, and all of a sudden the credit card company is giving them a $20,000 credit line. Okay. Now, could they argue that you fraudulently misrepresented it if later on you're trying to discharge the credit card in bankruptcy?
Yes.
They could on the application. It typically doesn't happen.
No, they
though.
typically don't, but they could. And in this case, Sean and Amy have
Right. So let's go
gotten
back
into
to
a
Sean and
typical
Amy.
situation.
All right. So their income after tax, their net income per month is $77.50 a month. Their mortgage payment on the first mortgage $1,300, second $350. Credit cards are killing them at $2,500. Their other expenses, a couple car payments, medical bills, utilities, health insurance, food and expense. Their total expenses per month are $8,500. They're $750 negative, okay, per month. So they're like Uncle Sam. They're bringing in less than they're spending. What are their options? Key issues, they got this tax debt, 2015, 16, and 17, joint in 15 for 10 grand, 16 and 17, just Sean, 20 and 20. Jeff, Brian, what are their options? They file a Chapter 7 now, do they wait, are they a Chapter 13? This is not a simple case.
Well, on the taxes, they're not eligible for one of those pennies on the dollar offering compromise because even though they don't have equity in the house, she's got equity in the 401k. And that is more than her debt, so that's going to kill an offering
They're
compromise.
going to take it. So that's
Well, wait.
Yeah.
Is
It's a big
Sean
point.
eligible for an offering compromise?
Sean might be eligible if you could split their liability because he filed separate, and we can get possibly for those higher liabilities an innocent spouse claim for Amy if she didn't benefit from the tax savings.
So this offering compromise concept, because a married couple, one of them has money in the bank, doesn't preclude the other one, in this case Sean, who filed married filing separately from this for those couple of years. Maybe he can file an offer.
It doesn't matter,
That-
though, too, how old they are, because they haven't really saved enough, right? So if they're young enough, what if they go bankrupt? They file it.
But it doesn't
then they
matter
have all
whether they're
that
young
time.
or old. If they're
But you have
eligible,
so much more time to save if you're doing it young than if you're 60 in this same
Yes,
situation.
but even if you're 60, you still have from 60 to 65 to 70 to start saving money.
Yeah.
But your point is well taken in this regard. If you can get rid of the concept of living in debt and start saving money and not paying interest,
Right.
when you're in your 30s or 40s, you will be financially set when it comes to retiring. The great bulk of American people that end up in a very difficult financial circumstance at retirement, it's attributable to they do two things wrong. They've used credit cards their entire lives and they've paid an enormous amount of interest, which that money instead could have been going to savings. And they've made the mistake of being sucked into refinancing their home in order to redo their credit card debt. And that leaves them with no equity in their home, and they keep making the same mistake of going back into the credit card business, of borrowing money and paying that interest. And it's a horrific mistake, and the baby boomer generation is paying for it dearly now, and it's going to be worse in the next 10 years. I want to talk about that offering compromise thing, just on a simple basis. Everyone hears about pennies on the dollars on the offering compromise. Well, it's true if you have no assets, no equity in your home, and you have modest income, you can almost always get rid of your debt with the offering compromise federally on your federal tax debt for income tax.
Correct.
But it doesn't typically work if you've got an IRA, a 401k, or a lot of equity in your home, then you're ruled out. You brought up a good point, though, because I made this a complicated hypo by having Sean have the liability on his own as opposed to Amy. Come back from the break, we're going to figure out what they should do.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Criminal matters are serious. Your freedom, future, and wallet are on the line. Criminal defense attorney Scott Weinberg is a former prosecutor and renowned criminal lawyer. For over 30 years, he's the go-to defender in Michigan to protect your rights. Scott's advice: you have the right to remain silent. Use it if charged with a crime. Call Scott Weinberg today, 888-235-HELP, 888-235-HELP. And remember, stay silent.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network and also on KISS 105.9, Tuesdays 10 a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. and on KISS Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Remember to sign up for our free monthly contest. Free $100 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. All you have to do is go to the website, pop your email address in, and you're entered. Every month we make those giveaways. It's a great opportunity. We have a seminar coming up Wednesday, January 22nd, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Oh no, the bills are here. The bills start coming after the holiday season. Now you're looking at them and you're facing them. You've got to make a decision. Are you going to live with them and stay in debt continuously for the next 4 or 5 years? Or is there a better solution of getting rid of that debt? You should take a look at the opportunity by taking advantage and coming to the free seminar. The goal is to preserve your future income for you and your family and start saving money rather than paying interest continuously and effectively giving away your retirement down the road. Special segment by Jeff Linden on tax issues. Special segment by Scott Weinberg on criminal family-related issues. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Also remember, you can always come in to the firm for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online to sign up. Debt issues and estate planning issues with Brian, tax issues with Jeff, business issues with myself, elder law issues with Pat Samasco, disability and workers' comp issues with Jeff Kirshner, criminal issues with Scott. Just take advantage of that free consult. It's not a meet and greet. We analyze the situation. We tell you what you need to do. We tell you what it's going to cost, so then you can plan accordingly and make your proper decisions. Free reports also. We've got free reports on the website. Just go to the website. There's 4 free reports. Brand new one, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by myself and also Jeff Linden. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formation Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Michigan and in the Detroit area. Pat Samasco has a Retiree's Guide from Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Samasco Law, Michigan Criminal Lawyers PLC, and Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
I love you too. Bye-bye. That was Jerry. Emma just said her first word.
Oh.
Jerry says hello and they'll be over soon.
Who's Jerry? Is he a friend of yours?
No. This Jerry. Our Jerry. And this is his wife and their little girl.
All right, we're back. All right, so Brian, walk us through. This is a tough situation. We've got Sean and Amy. What should they do?
Well,
Can they file 7?
the optimal solution, if they could reach that, is to file a Chapter 7. They would discharge their $100,000 worth of credit card debt. They would get rid of $20,000 worth of medical bills. And the joint income tax liability from 2015 for $10,000 would also go away. The problem is, in this
So they then do an offer and compromise for Sean on the 16 and 17?
again, possibly. But the problem here with Sean and Amy is that even though they don't have enough income to, because as you pointed out, their budget is $750 upside down, if they didn't have credit card debt, Sean and Amy in this situation would most likely be a Chapter 13
What about
bankruptcy.
their obligation to pay greater amount of the taxes that are owed
See,
in
that's-
arrears?
that's-
Would that work to still keep them in a 7?
Maybe. Here's the reality. Sean has been earning the same amount of money in the prior years and he hasn't been paying his taxes. So this budget that they came into the office with there and they've prepared their own budget is probably inaccurate.
You're saying this budget that they came in, that I created, is probably
It
inaccurate.
is.
Okay.
Because
Just to be clear.
they're more likely, what they've done is they're denying themselves significant expenses, whether it be on food or they're making the gas
Their
the furnace
expenses
is
must
down
be
at
higher.
60 degrees.
Otherwise, they'd have some money.
Right.
Okay.
And so if we actualize their real expenses,
Which you would.
and also kind of tweak out Sean's business to try and find out why he's not making why he's not paying the taxes, we find out that Sean and Amy really have no money left over. And what
So
they're
now
really
you have them in a 7?
Yeah, because here's what's really happening. They're paying $2,500 on their credit card, and they're borrowing $2,500
Sam.
on their credit card every single month.
Either from the Uncle Sam by not paying their taxes or on the credit
One
cards.
or the other. So when you put it all together, they probably do qualify for a Chapter 7.
As long as those expenses are allowable.
Even with $120,000 worth of income, this family of 4 is going to qualify for a Chapter 7. But let's assume that they don't.
Okay, no, but if they qualify for a 7, they get rid of the debt, then Jeff puts them in, Sean, in an offer in compromise, and he gets rid of the tax
Or
debt, right?
some sort of other collection alternative.
Okay.
If
Can
on
you
the-
keep your house if you do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep your house, and she keeps her IRA.
That's a
And
great
in fact,
solution. I like that.
not only can they keep their house, but people that have $50,000 as equity as a married couple can keep their house in Michigan under the federal exemptions. $57,000 equity if you're over the age of 65, you can keep. And if you're married and you have no joint debt whatsoever, which we'll talk about in another show, you can keep $1 million equity or more.
Wow.
But in this case, we also have to look at Chapter 13 as an opportunity for Sean and Amy.
Sure, take about 65 seconds and go right ahead.
Okay, so what would happen in a Chapter 13? We look at Sean and Amy, and they've got, based on the budget as presented, they've got $1,600, $1,500 left over after.
You're assuming if that's how the budget played out?
Right.
Okay.
So they've got this $1,500 if they after they pay
And
their
it's gonna go to
living
pay what?
expenses, and now they're going to utilize that to fund a Chapter 13. They're a 5-year Chapter 13, but here's what gets paid: the taxes get paid first. The most important creditor here is
So
Uncle
the credit
Sam.
cards get nothing.
The credit cards could get nothing.
What about their second mortgage on their home?
The second mortgage sticks around because their house is
Well, their-
their house is worth more than
the
what
first
they
mortgage.
owe.
Okay.
When we talk about
They can't lien strip.
lien stripping in another show, we'll talk about
Fine,
getting
so let's
rid of
wrap it up. They're probably a 7 based upon their budget because their budget that they presented is not accurately accurate. We get rid of everything except Sean's tax liability. We get rid of that with an offer in compromise for Sean. If not, and their budget gives them a positive cash flow, we put them into a 13. All the excess money that they have goes to pay the tax debt. The credit card companies and the medical bills still get 0 cents on the dollar. I want you guys to know I had a whole nother case study on Bart prepared for today. We're going to have to roll Bart over to the next show.
You're like my wife. You know, she goes to a restaurant. Well, you're not my wife. You're like my wife. She goes to a restaurant, orders this whole meal, and she can't finish any of it.
That's a wrap. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.